Hey besties, this is Julie.
And this is Chantel.
And we are Viera Vida.
You were in my head. I want to say you want to sing it, Julie.
Did you guys hear the excitement? Chantel,
Huh.
are you on Jeopardy now?
So, you know how if you trick your mind or you smile and stuff so that you do the opposite? That's what I'm trying to do right now. Like, make myself think that like
Oh,
bouncy
Tito.
and alive. Because I was telling Julie just really quickly, because I know we have a program to get through. My poor the littlest Brown in my house, she woke up at 3:30 this morning and was vomiting a little bit. She's okay. It was water because she's just heavily congested. So I had to jump in the shower with her. My husband had to change all the sheets, all that jazz. And so I'm tired.
Yeah.
So I figured if I'm like, it's Chantel.
Yeah,
like,
no, you nailed it.
Trying to do the opposite to get my brain here and functioning for the
I'm
good people
tired,
listening.
too.
Yes, I believe
Because
it.
the smallest Viera in our house, Paris. Just kidding. No, I went to a holiday party.
It looked pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. It rained, so generally this holiday party is really special because you get to go on a sleigh ride, and the horses dress up like. I guess the people dress up the horses as reindeer.
The horses dress up.
And
In a cartoon. Yeah.
yeah, but since it was raining, it was cold. They weren't gonna bring the horses out, so that
Okay.
didn't end up being a thing. But it was still a great time.
Okay.
So some of us have more valid reasons than others.
No, but listen. I've told people because I just finished a math class, and the women that were in my group, shout out to them. All of us are moms except for one, and she would say stuff like, "Oh, but I don't have children." I'm like, listen. I can't, even though I know my tired, some people could say it's a different tired. I don't take away anybody's truth or they're tired.
Right,
You can be tired.
You do say that to me all the time.
Yeah.
Because, well, you know me. I'm always extra tired, you
Yeah.
guys, because I have a condition, and I swear all the doctors are like, "Are you sure it's not narcolepsy?" Because it makes you very, very tired.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, I get that. I totally get that. So okay, we are doing today. You guys love this episode.
Uh-huh.
This is our Sancocho episode where we talk about a little bit of this, a little bit of that, or rishi. So I'm really excited to have this episode today, and we have so many fun things that we want to talk about. In fact, prior to beginning this episode, Chantel and I were just discussing the topics that we wanted to talk about, and we kept on almost diving in
Yeah.
to the content, and we wanted to save it for you.
Yes.
Before we do that, you already know.
Oh, shout out.
Shout out of the week. Chantel, let's start with you.
Okay, and I do have one. I actually thought about this morning.
I could tell by your tone of voice when you said, "Oh, shout out."
Yeah, it's funny. Like, Julie and I seem to have some of the best. We've had some really good outlined episodes, but some of the best episodes where we just are flying off the top of our heads, which is what we're doing today. I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. No.
We have a list.
We do have a list, but it was right before we came in. Anyway, we do this with intention.
Yeah.
As I stare at the camera. So my littlest Brown ended up getting sick Thanksgiving morning. She had a fever. She had a fever for a few days. She's under a year old. A fever longer than 2 days, they don't want that. Like the doctors or whatever. So they got to find out what's going on. They don't want babies to have fevers for more than 2 days. Ended up in the hospital because she was a little dehydrated. They took care of all of the situations. And I wanted to shout out CHOP and the staff at CHOP because
That's huge.
they basically said, we're not sending you home until we find out why she hasn't had a wet diaper.
And this is after you had already gone.
I had
to
already gone
other
to
places.
another children's hospital in the city. I ain't gonna say no names or whatever. Because maybe they do good for other families in other situations, but from my experience with them in that ER
Sort of
at this other,
unacceptable.
it wasn't acceptable. Like, don't send me home until you know and you can tell me why, or you have had my daughter, like, helped her produce a wet diaper. It's been hours. She's 10 months old. Like, so, I've told my husband, I said to my husband, as long as it's not a life-threatening issue, if our children have to go to the ER for whatever reason, as long as it's not life-threatening, I prefer we drive the 30 minutes from where we are in the city to CHOP.
Yeah, my husband was saying that because, Julio and Brown and Chantel also have a relationship. So he was like, next time that she calls you and she tells you the baby this, don't let them go to urgent care. Send them straight to CHOP's ER. They have the insurance, blah, blah, blah. So that's a good lesson, Like sometimes you don't want to go that distance and you don't want to bother in the ER. And that's just scary and all the germs, whatever. But I don't know, when it comes to the children's hospitals, they're just so much better at CHOP.
Yes, they were. Now, some of the staff at the other children's hospital that I'm not naming definitely seemed like they cared, but then there was a shift change. So I just feel like it probably depends on the provider you get. But this is my second experience with CHOP, first experience with their ER, and every time I've been there, it's just been a great.
That's
Yeah.
right. You did have a really good experience last time. So
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, like shout out to Chop.
Yep.
I have a friend who works at Chop in physical therapy,
Mm-hmm.
and she is so passionate. She comes back with great stories.
Yep. So that's my shout out.
Okay, that's awesome. I do have a shout out.
What you got?
And my shout out of the week is actually AR Workshop. AR Workshop is so much fun, you guys. It is my favorite one is the one in Fishtown, and I just recorded that so that I could give them a little shout out on Instagram too because it is so much fun. Basically, it's a crafter's paradise. You can go, you can make wood crafts, you can make yarn crafts, you can make I'm trying to think what else. Ornaments. They have everything to make everything. Then they have classes to teach you. And shout out to Danielle, who owns the workshop and is just really, really passionate and has a great time. And I just think it's the perfect place for like a family get together or even businesses. You guys can go and they do business development and like getting to know the staff and things like that.
Oh.
Yeah, they just had recently like Pico and really great companies to do some team building.
I'm gonna have to keep that in mind to tell my boss.
Yes,
Okay.
friend. Yes.
Okay.
And maybe we can work with them, to do like a little Viera Vida promotion because
Oh, that'd be nice too.
I think they would really appreciate that. But yeah, I love it. AR Workshop in Fishtown. A&R, I don't know if it's AR or A&R. I think it's AR. Either way, when you go to Instagram, it's AR Workshop Fishtown. And it's so much fun. I love it. I've been there a few times so far this month.
You're gonna have to share some of your artwork on your Instagram, on the Instagram page.
I can't yet because some of them are gifts, but
Oh,
I will.
but do you have photos so that after they're gifted, then you could post them?
You know I do.
Of course.
You know how I am.
Who am I thinking I'm talking to?
You know how I am. I'm ready. I got 6,000 pictures in this phone, and I only had this phone for what, a year? I do.
Oh man.
Okay, so I'm excited that we did our shout outs
Yep.
because I feel like, and it could have something to do with this holiday season, but weren't the shout outs kind of easier at this time of the year?
Yeah.
For me, they were. For me, I have
Probably because you're busy, maybe.
maybe a lot of reflection,
Yeah.
For me, this time of year has a lot to do with reflection. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is reflecting on our year and also making goals for the next year. Do you do that? Is that generally what you look at this time of year for?
I'm smiling for anybody watching the YouTube live.
I don't know. I'm legit asking.
You know what? If I think about it, yes, I think I have had certain times of doing it. It's not something that I made a habit of.
Okay.
But there's been certain times when I've reflected, like, okay, yeah, this was a decent year, or yeah, I don't know. I think we should stop to maybe take a look back, but I use years obviously as like tracks, like keeping track of when certain things happen, obviously, which a lot of us do. But thinking about it now, since you asked me that question, I think I just see stuff as like continuous.
Okay.
Like even though it's marking a new year in our calendar, I just feel like life is still going. Things are still happening.
No, I feel that, especially when it comes to the way that we see the world. And it's a very Western concept that's more like cyclical. Like the Native Americans, that's how they see and understand time. For me, I think it has something to do with the fact that I was Jehovah's Witness when I was little, growing up, and I wasn't able to celebrate things like Christmas and Thanksgiving. So I always did have this time of year to really reflect. And, it's a time that you will go and you'll be finishing a marking period or whatever. And at the end of every marking period as a kid, that's a time to really reflect. And so I think for me, it was always goal setting. It isn't the only time that you can make a change in your life, but it's just this like big mark where you can leave something, and that something is a year behind and start fresh. And I say I don't like change, but I think I really do have to have some like constant change in my life, or else I'm bored.
Yeah.
So yeah, I take this time for vision board making, for goal setting, to set up my new bullet journal, to put goals, to talk with Julio about goals, and it just it happens naturally at this time. And I love that. I think that we should talk about, how to do these things in the next segment. We only have about a minute left, but in the next segment, we're going to talk to you guys because I want to give some of the tips that I have on goal setting, on planning, and productivity. And I actually wrote a post about this on our blog. I'm not sure if it's still up there, but if it is, I will link it within one of our posts online this week because I think it's really important to have a plan. And goal setting doesn't just happen that you're like, oh, you know what? That's true. I'm going to make a goal right now. No, it's actually a process where you
Right.
have to have steps. They have to be smart. They have to be actionable. So we'll talk about that just after this break. I want you guys to stick with us. Today's Sancocho episode, we have some funny things to talk about, some deep things to talk about, and some goal setting to do. So stick with us. Just after this break, we're going to get into a little bit of a testimony that Chantel has for us. You don't want to miss that.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text to emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfies. Nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's put a ride home.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world?
You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends.
Hey besties, welcome back to the Viera Vida show. Today's episode is our Sancocho episode where we talk about a little bit of this, a little bit of that, all the different things that go into the pot of soup that we call Sancocho in our culture. Today, we are going to dive into something that's pretty deep, pretty exciting, and motivating, and that's a testimony that Chantel has for us. This testimony has been a long time coming.
Testify.
Yes, and that somebody better be Chantel. So, Chantel, tell us about your journey in the last, what is it, like year and a half?
Yes.
2 years almost.
Almost 2 years. So, in 2018, I found myself pregnant. Found myself pregnant. And literally 2 days after, back up, Chantel. I had been working, I was just getting ready to make 8 years of working at the company I was with in the financial industry. Find out I'm pregnant, literally like a day or two after I find out, I get a text from Julie. And it says, friend, my job is hiring. Like, you need to submit your resume, blah, blah, blah. Like, I want you to come work with me.
I think I said you need to submit your resignation.
So the other, yeah. And she said, we have great health benefits. Like, it's a really, it's a great work environment, et cetera, et cetera. There was a moment of excitement, but then an immediate sadness because I'm pregnant. Mm-hmm. And while some women do this, it is kind of frowned upon to leave a company in the middle of being pregnant to go to a new one because you're not going to get those maternity benefits. Not saying it's impossible to get it because depending on who your employer is, they might provide it to you, but you have to be at your job for a certain amount of time, 6 months or a year.
Mm-hmm, usually a year,
right? It's normally a year. I've heard some great ones, crazy, 6 months. I'm like, how do you get that?
Probably Google.
Probably is. It's the Google Glues. So
inside joke, guys.
I just messed up my train of thought. Okay, so with me leaving, I wouldn't get my maternity leave.
Right.
And the company that Julie worked for at the time had 12 weeks, which is really, really good. So I had texted her back and was like, friend, I haven't even told her yet. Like, I don't think I can. I'm pregnant. I don't remember your answer, but I remember you kind of being like, okay, like, that's fine. At the time also, for the people who are listening, I had the glass is half empty mentality back then. Coming to this show, being with Julie and being with Mercedes, miss you much, Mercedes. We did the 30-day positive affirmations. Like, that really helped turn things around. Talking to Julie about things and the way she sees the silver lining helped kind of change my mindset too. So I told her I can't, like, I'm pregnant, I can't leave this job. So I'm thinking about it a little bit more, and I don't think I took too much time thinking about it. I don't know if I might talk to my husband or my mom or my sister, somebody, and when I text you, it's like, I think I'm going to apply. You said I was getting ready to say to you, like, I think you need to, but I don't think you wanted to push it, so you didn't at the time. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to apply. Julie sends me a text as I'm on my way to the old job. Okay, I need you to send a cover letter. I have worked at that previous company for 8 years since the summers of college. I didn't really have to be interviewed for it. Once they had an opening, so I left there as part-time, like summertime help with them. They had an opening, they called me, like in May 2010.
So were you intimidated by the application process?
I was intimidated by the application process. I've never really had to write a cover letter. I've interviewed for a few jobs, but again, I've never really had to get this job.
I think you expressed that. And I'm
Yes.
like, okay, here's a template on the Google Glues.
So, yes, you did say look it up, and I'm looking it up, right? She sent me a template. I'm looking it up. I'm Googling, and I'm sitting at my job. I was doing this at the other job, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I can't write this letter. I have no idea what I'm going to write. Like, I just can't. The boss at the job that I'm at comes out, and the boss goes over to another employee's desk that I can hear because we had an open concept office.
Oh, but you got to tell them about the timing. So on this
It was
day,
literally like,
I was like, look, we're gonna be going through applications tomorrow. I need you to apply today.
very true. And you need to get that cover letter in
Today.
today. And
you were
just
like, oh, it's too short notice. I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, think about it.
Yeah. And even with the think about it, I was texting my mom. Everybody was like, oh, you can do it. And I'm like, no, you guys don't understand. Again, I had a very pessimistic, glass half empty mindset. Boss comes out. She says something to the employee that's in the desk or section next to me. And whatever the boss had said to that employee was enough for me to be like, this is the reason why I need to write this cover letter. It wasn't like that interaction, like the old office that I worked for, at times it could be great and at times it could be toxic. And I'm like, I have to get out of here. I had reached the highest level I could reach in promotions in that office, et cetera, et cetera.
This is nothing against that
No.
person, but the enemy showed his face.
Correct. It was kind of like the father saying, you sure you don't want to write that cover letter? Let me remind you what you might be dealing with if you stay here. So I did a little bit more Googling, and in the Googling that I did was how to make your cover letter stand out, like ways to write your cover letter that not everybody does. And whoever wrote this article, shout out to you. I can't remember because, again, it was a while ago. They wrote things like just gave numbers and topics and subjects of this is how you write it to stand out. So I took that person's advice that they wrote, and I wrote this cover letter. I sent it to Chris, my husband. He did some editing. I said, Julie, check this out. She's like, girl, this is good. I'm sending it in. So we sent it in. Lo and behold, got the interviewed. It was awesome. I got the job, left my job, went to a new job. I don't have maternity leave. Now, the job had a contract date of an end date of December 31st for me. Now, this is June of 2018 that I started. The contract date had an end date of December 31st, 2018. I was told that, listen, if we have good employees, we're not going to let them go, right? This is what I was told by one of the directors. So I'm like, okay, cool. So even though I had an end date, in my mind, I'm hoping that the father will make a way. They'll say, Chantel, we want to keep you.
Yeah, because you were in headquarters,
Right.
which was different. Because in politics, it comes and goes.
Right.
But Chantel and I were feeling that this
Right.
would work out. We knew God had a plan, but anyway.
Right. So here comes the election, because it was a super PAC that we worked for. Here comes the election. It was like almost immediately after the election, it was like, sorry, anybody who is not like senior staff, we have to let go. Now, this is, again, November, and they were letting us go. I think they were allowing our end date to be to the end of November. Mind you, I'm pregnant. My due date is December 28th.
Right.
I was hoping, and this was extraordinary insurance that being at this super PAC, we hardly paid anything out of our checks.
Yeah, it was great.
There was no copays. I didn't have a hospital copay, nothing. It was an amazing health package. health insurance package. So now I'm like, shoot, what am I going to do? I had amazing women, and I'm about to get emotional. And this is probably going to have to go to the next segment. I'm trying my best, but I want people to understand and to hear everything I'm saying. I had amazing women. First of all, Julie was already there, and she's already in my life, and I love her to death. I have to shout out, and I'm going to say her name, Miss Molly, because this is not something, Molly was the director in the office, and I don't think, even our state director, Dina, I have to shout her out. From what I understand, they fought and tried to get, our headquarters of the whole, like, national, to allow me to stay, at least until I have the baby so that I have the health insurance. It didn't work out that way. They told them, no, sorry, we can't do it. Julie and Miss Molly said to me, we will cover your Cobra until you have your baby.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yes.
I totally forgot about that.
Now, before they called me in and told me this, I'd already know I was being, let go. And before they called me in and told me this, I started doubting myself. Like, Father, did I make the wrong move? Was I supposed to stay there? Like, and I'm starting to think, like, you're crazy. What pregnant person leaves a job in the middle of being pregnant without making sure they have those, like, a secure job? Like, what is wrong with you? Immediately after, I think Julie and Molly said, hey, can you come over, please? I went into the office. They're like, listen, we're covering your first month of Cobra. Little Miss, my little baby, did not come in the month that they covered the Cobra. However, the month that they covered it, I did have to go to the hospital because we weren't sure if my amniotic fluid was leaking or if I, peed on myself, because a lot of women, that happens when you get further, when you're closer to your due date. So I had to go to the hospital. There was a bill. The Cobra covered it for that month. Okay, so now I'm without a job, but I'm having a baby. If I would have still been at this job, don't know if I would have had maternity leave, right? Yeah. So now I'm home with the baby. Julie and I had a very nice summer of working on our Inclusivo project, which we're not done, people, so please keep a lookout. Everybody's just really busy. We're going to get back into it.
Our first summer was really great.
It was really good.
Great.
So I'm able to do that, able to run around and do things. And working there with Julie, I met a gentleman. He was also at For Our Future. He also ended up being a part of the Inclusivo leadership team. And one of the owners of this project, right? In meeting this person, he ended up telling me he had a position open at a nonprofit organization he is at. And because of me jumping out on faith, getting that text message from Julie, meeting this gentleman at this job, I'm now working with him at a nonprofit here in Philadelphia, and I'm having it's only my second week, I'm having such a great time.
Amen.
And I'm just thankful, and I know we have to go to a break soon, and I have a point to say to people who are listening of why sometimes you have to just be patient and trust whatever process.
You guys, I can't wait to dissect this testimony in the next segment, because there is so much, and I feel the presence of God when you're telling me, because the whole time, you guys, we're just on faith. So stick with us to listen to the testimony and listen to the little bits that you might have not heard in the past.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Hey besties, welcome back to the Viera Vida show. Today we have our Sancocho episode where we talk about a little bit of this and a little bit of that. The most recent segment, we were talking about a testimony that Chantel is finally sharing with us, and this testimony has been in the making since day one of the Viera Vida show. Wow, I have a really mumbled mouth today, so I apologize, you guys. So this testimony to me is really close to my heart, and I want you guys to know that you're a part of this testimony, and that's why we feel it's important for you to be here and listen to it. So Chantel, you were just getting to the point where now, you know, everything worked out. Basically, this is a happy story. And what are you learning from that right now?
So what I'm learning is to trust the master's plan, right? Because in the midst of it, there were moments of still questioning, did I make the right decisions? Did I do the right thing in leaving a company that I was at for 8 years, where I had a pretty good health package? I bumped up my next vacation tier. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all that invested into this company, 401k, leaving in the middle of being pregnant. Exactly. And also, I'm going to go back a little bit. So, shout out to Miguel, the gentleman that I met at For Our Future, who I'm now working very closely with at this nonprofit here in Philly, which is a Head Start. And I love, if you follow me on Instagram, like I was playing one of the songs because I could hear I was in somebody's office, and I was listening to the kids sing their songs as they get ready for their little holiday concert. But Miguel had contacted me over the summer, like August, and told me, hey, get ready because you're going to be coming in. All of that fell through, me going to start in August.
Right.
So now, while I think I handled it a little bit better mentally, there were still moments of, why do I think I'm any more special than anybody else, right? And let me explain why. So there's stories of people who they end up having the connections with somebody. They end up at the right place at the right time, and they're like blessed with like this great opportunity. And while this doesn't happen for everybody, that's what, oh, sorry, I hit the mic. I don't know if you can hear that on the microphone. That's what it was looking like was happening for me. This door was being open. I'm still making my way to finish my degree. Like, so on paper, not having certain qualifications for a position that he was telling me, hey, I want you to come in for. Like, wow, Father, you're really doing this thing in me. Thank you so, so much. Like, this is amazing. And I'm going to prove, because I know the work ethic that I have. Right. And to be humble, but also you have to realize who you are. Right. The work ethic you have, the knowledge that you have, things that I picked up from my old job that I was with. So this is my chance to prove that, hey, I'm Chantel. I've picked up this, great knowledge. I'm ready to come learn wherever I'm at and be a great asset to whatever organization, agency, company that I go to. And then that fell through. And I cried a little bit. But at the end of it, I reminded myself, and I remember talking to my mom about this, because I was defeated at a little bit at a point. But you know what? Whatever's in his plan is going to work out.
Right.
Because here we are. I'm going a little longer than my husband and I expected for me to be home. He's carrying all the bills. He's carrying my student loans and his student loans. Unemployment has run out, which this was also a blessing in disguise because Chris had to cover all the bills. My unemployment took care of all of the debt that I had with the exception of the student loans because they're just really big.
Right.
So that in itself, I'm just like, I don't have a car note anymore. Like any little credit cards that I had, that's all gone. So a lot of things happened in this process that looked like where people, might judge you because people are very judgy. So they might judge you like, well, why would you have left the company in the middle of being pregnant? And we have to take, and anybody listening, like if you're wondering, do I take this leap of faith? Weigh everything out first, right? Because you have to be smart. Weigh everything out first. If like for me, I've gone as far as I could in that company. There was nowhere else for me to go. With nowhere else for me going, raises aren't going to be that great.
Right.
Inflation cost of living keeps increasing year after year. Yeah. I have one son already. I have another child that's on the way. If you don't take that step, because it's scary to leave a job that you're so comfortable with, you have stability, to go somewhere else that you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
It is very scary. But you never know until you try.
Yeah.
You don't know what's out there.
You know, it was really scary from my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
too. And part of it was I felt, oh my gosh, this is my fault. Because
And I remember telling you, no, Julie, don't you think that? But
I
go
know,
ahead.
but I felt it the whole time. And it's because when Chantel was in the job she was previously in, super talented. Chantel's super talented. You know, in a lot of ways, she had that stability. But in terms of mental health,
yeah,
I just couldn't see her having that stress anymore. And I had been in a toxic workplace before, and I knew that it improved my health, it improved my outlook, it improved so many things to leave that. And I wanted that for her. I wanted her to not have to deal with that so badly that I was like, look, we're going to figure this out and we're going to do it together. I don't care what needs to happen. Like, we're going to figure it out.
And not to cut you off, Julie would definitely say that to me. Like, when she first started her job with the Super PAC, she's like, listen, I'm at this really great organization. We don't know if we're stable yet, so I don't want to call you over, but if ever, like, friend, you're coming. Like, and she would say that to me all the time.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Because I didn't want you there anymore. Yeah. And, you know, there were years of her having these struggles, but there's only, I feel like I try to be a fixer in a lot of ways, and I was like, I am not leaving her there. So when I got into senior staff, I was like, okay, this is what I want. I really want this for her. But then when I saw, you know, that she was struggling mentally with this shift and everything, I felt like it was my fault, and I felt terrible, and I'm like, what can I do to help? And, you know, sometimes, you know, money isn't enough. I'm over here thinking about, I completely forgot that we paid for Cobra. Yeah, I could go into my wallet and pay for Cobra for a month, but that doesn't mean that, you know, all your problems are solved. And so I'm over here like, did I cause her more stress than she would have had at this job? And so it was this back and forth, and we really had to communicate a lot. But at the end of the day, I could see a light, you know, and even the whole time that we were at the independent expenditure together, her and I were like, that's okay, next step, we're going to do this, next step, this is going to happen, next step. And it was just really taking one step at a time. And I think that's the biggest piece of advice, especially where I am at right now in my life. I keep telling myself, you know what, one step, one step, one step. And so it was really inspiring to see you on this other side, but also it was really scary during the process. But also, we were so happy during the entire time. And to me, I think that's more valuable than anything.
It is very valuable. And it's having that faith one step at a time, because we don't know the future. We don't know the outcome. One thing I did not want to do, which I did do a little bit, I have to be honest and confess, because confession is good for the soul. I did not want to question the Father, but there were times when I did. I didn't completely stay positive. At the end of my conversations during this process of not knowing what was going to go on as far as jobs, or paying bills, because really jobs, whatever, is the paying bills part, I do remember thinking, okay, Father, forgive me, because I don't want to say something to potentially ruin the blessing that's coming.
Right.
I don't want to have a negative mindset because I can't see the door that's going to be open, or that I'm walking to that's going to open for me. And it's like, well, you're not ready for it.
Right.
So I have to close this door. Like, that's what I did not want. And it's difficult. So for anyone who's listening, it is difficult because you're always sitting here looking at your circumstances, looking at what's going on now. I thank the Father for my husband, and I thank him for the financial blessing he has placed on him, that he was able to sustain us for a while and sustain us well. Like, my husband, he did a really, really good job. And I'm just thankful for that. And I keep stressing, and I can't stress enough. As long as you have not laid down and accepted defeat, just keep moving and getting up and going. Something's going to happen. Okay, yeah, you might have that weak moment. Say what you have to say. Get it out.
Yeah.
Because then that was another thing. I'm like, I don't want to say this, but I have to. So I talked to my mom, like, I have to tell you what I'm thinking. The Father knows I'm thinking it. I have to get it out. We could talk about it. And we did. And I'm so grateful. I'm working for this nonprofit now, which I love, again, because I see the kids. I'm meeting a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I'm learning a lot of new and different things.
Right.
And
And your boss is someone who you trust. And I feel like that says a lot. And that's really important.
Yeah.
That's huge for me. And to be honest, the entire process, even while we were at the IE, I remember that me and this individual, because we're really good friends too, were like, we have to figure out what Chantel's next steps are. We have to figure out what the next
Oh, yeah.
steps are.
She even emailed me like, hey, if you need a recommendation letter, because she's worked and even now is working in some pretty cool offices. If you need a recommendation letter, like I will write you whatever. And I think she even wrote one without me saying yes. So
she does that,
Yeah.
But I met Miguel and I.
Yeah.
You know, like really trying to figure out your next steps and things like that.
Oh, thank you.
And so
clarification.
That to me is really powerful just because it just teaches you that, one, you're not alone. And even if you feel alone, there's people over here worried about and loving on you. And it just was a blessing to be a part of your testimony in whatever way.
Yes, so thank you. And to speak to that, and I know we have other things we have to talk to about, but I remember telling Miguel I was nervous when he had told me what he wanted me to do at this new organization. I said, listen, I'm a quick learner.
You are.
I'm a quick learner, but I'm going to let you know this is new for me. This is new industry, new area, so I'm a little bit nervous. I'm just letting you know that. And he said, listen, I've worked with you for the past 6 months, like when we did Inclusive over the summer. I would not have called on you or even asked you, are you available? Mm-hmm. Would you want to work with me if I didn't think that you could do what I'm asking you to do? So, you know, this is also to say to people who are at jobs positions, working on projects, working with people, sitting, meeting with people, dinner parties, whatever. You never know who's watching.
Yeah.
So always be gracious, always be kind, and always put your best foot forward, because that person that you might meet, you might really leave an impression, and they might think about you for whatever they have coming up.
And, you know, that's to give a little perspective on what Chantel's saying and why she's saying that in that way. Miguel, when we worked at the IE, was in the field, so we didn't have a lot of one-on-one, you know, just contact with him. I mean, I did, you know, we went on vacation and everything together, so Chantel was able to form that relationship. But it was very informal, the way that we worked together this summer. In fact, we 90% of the time would meet at my living room in our sweatpants or jeans or whatever, and we would brainstorm and we would just work as friends.
Yep.
And so never did she know that this was going to be her boss eventually, but you know, we just have a certain way that we're always going to act and we're always going to work, even if it's within the confines of, you know,
your living room. Yeah,
it was really great. So that's a great lesson. I love that. And part of that has everything to do with not thinking about what you can get from a situation, but just having character. And your character will always shine, whether or not you are trying to impress somebody. We're going to see your character if it's flawed, you know, and we're going to see your character if it has these beautiful strengths that you have. And so that was really powerful to see, because at the end of the day, I think that's the most important point of intellect is your character. I don't care if you can count. I don't care if you can read. I care if you have integrity, if you have commitment, you know, positive spirit, Milton Hershey guys, you know, the 4 sacred values. But yeah, that's really powerful to me. I love that. That was a huge part of your journey.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. And things looking back, it worked out. Everything that looked like there was an issue, it worked out. It was being patient, holding on, waiting, and that moment will come, and it came.
So listeners, where are you in your journey right now?
Yep.
You know, are you in the beginning where you're scared and you're wondering if you're making the right decision? Are you in the middle where you're having a blast, but you're still not sure what the next steps are? Are you looking back and so proud of what you've done? Wherever you're at, you know, it doesn't have to be just the end of the year to start reflecting on these things and to start really whatever it is that you do, whether it's meditate, for us it's prayer, for, you know, others it's just having conversations with friends, but whatever you do, make sure that you're intentional about it, because I feel like that's really what got us, you know, to where we're at now.
Yep.
It's exciting. I'm so glad that you shared that. And that to me it's huge, because I don't know if some of you have been with us from the beginning. Chantel, you have opened up so much since the beginning. And I wasn't sure if you would feel comfortable with it.
I remember you asking me one time, like, oh, do you want to share a testimony? And I was like, oh, I'm not there yet. Like, let me see. Let me just see. And I'm there.
And you know what? She showed up this morning. This wasn't, you know, we knew that we were going to need to do a Sancocho episode, but I didn't know that you were going to share your testimony today. And I just feel so alive about it. I feel like this is such a great time for testimonies. I feel like this time of year, you know, people think about presents and people think about food and things like that. But in my mind, it's more reflecting and testimonies and planning. And I guess I could get excited about food too.
Yeah.
But
Food is always great.
right, but really powerful. So take a few seconds, you guys, during this break and start thinking about some reflection that you can do. Come back because after this short break, we're going to have a little bit of fun, lighthearted chats about things that we believe that others might not.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps. Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Hey besties, welcome back to the Viera Vida show. If you're just tuning in, then you need to get on the podcast and listen to the other segments of this episode. It has been powerful. Oh, go ahead, Chantel.
Invited everyone you knew.
Do.
You would see big ass. Sorry.
So Chantel is feeling the high of her testimony, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Today is our Sancocho episode. Just before we get into that, I want to let you guys know there's always opportunity to get involved in the Viera Vida show, whether you want to contribute monetarily to sponsor our show, if you want to have a commercial on our radio station, there is ample opportunity. So reach out to us at contact@vieravida.com and we will get you connected.
And I know it took a lot of time last time. I don't think I'm throwing Julie something new. If there's anybody who's interested in, writing some segments and maybe hitting us up, we will, hit us up. Get you some internship radio resume stuff.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
I love that you came up with that. So before this segment began, I let you guys know that we're going to talk about some things that we believe that other people don't, such as unpopular opinions. Is that what it's called?
That is.
Unpopular opinions. Okay, so this segment is going to be pretty lighthearted.
Yep.
So bring it back, put the tears away. Let's go.
Bring it
and back. I'm going to throw something at you. I'm going to throw something at you right now, Chantel.
Yes.
I think Mariah Carey is highly overrated.
So before we started the show, Julie had said this because if you watch Shay's show, Julie and I are on it. It was last week, and we had talked about unpopular opinions quickly, and we talked about J-Lo. So Julie had said that to me this morning about Mariah Carey, and I saved what I wanted to say for the show.
I need to hear it.
And I told Julie, hold on, rewind. Mariah Carey, I think, even though today, in my opinion, can no longer sing to the capacity of what we know Mariah Carey to be, I still think in her glory days, she was a voice that, not to be reckoned with.
Okay.
And that's why, to me, even though now her voice and her performances are like, girl, what are you doing? Like, just sit down somewhere or lip sync like a lot of people are doing. Her catalog of her past work, her live performances in the past were so great that I can't take that away from her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear you.
Right.
I hear you. I agree. Super talented.
One of the best Christmas albums ever.
But I will say.
What you gonna say?
And from my understanding, you know, I'm not a vocal artist. Well, sometimes. But if she were using her technique properly and treating her body well, she wouldn't have this lull in her career where her voice doesn't work anymore. So I feel like, did you really know how to sing?
I feel you. And I know that you also have a part 2 to why you feel this way.
Oh, yeah, and it's my part 1A.
And 2 part 1A. So who's the voice? If anybody says the voice, who do you think? Who's the first person pops in your head?
Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston. Dylan, would you agree? Our engineer? He's shaking his head yes. As Whitney Houston, at the end of her career, voice was not the same.
She smoked cigarettes.
True. But she didn't take care. But you just said, right?
Right.
If you don't take care of your voice or your body
right.
to keep that, your instrument
that,
still
you know
working
what?
well.
That's a good paradigm shift.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But my main point.
Yeah, here's her A, 1A.
Okay, so I am really, really big on character. I'm really big on kindness. Like, I've told you guys a million times, when I was little and I was asked what I wanted to be when I grew up, I always said kind, and I still say that. I want to be kind. I got some work to do sometimes, but I want to be kind.
Depending on the day.
Well, wow.
No, I'm just saying, even for me, like, depending on when you catch me.
Yeah. But I don't find that what I've seen of the behind the scenes of Mariah Carey is representative of the type of person that I want to idolize.
Yeah, she don't seem gracious.
She's not nice.
No.
She's not gracious. Even I saw, what was this, 2 years ago, that she was performing at New York, when the ball drops.
You talking about when she just stopped?
She just stopped. Like, you are a professional. You've been in this industry for so long. For her to have stopped in the way that she did, and she was lip singing, fine, cool, do your thing. But for you to stop like that, it was so disrespectful. It was like not at all professional.
True. And okay, so now it makes me think about, and I don't want to switch topics, still on the same topic. Have you seen going around, and if you don't, I saved it on my Instagram because I've seen this a couple years ago. Patti LaBelle sang on C-SPAN or something. It was like the National Tree Lighting or something.
Okay.
And she sang this Christmas. And I take it because you're not like reacting to me. You haven't seen it. I'm going to send it to you. She's singing this Christmas. And she's like, hang all the mistletoe. Woo! Cue cards. I don't know the words. Come on with the words. Yeah. Woo! Background singers. Where's my background singers? This Christmas. Yeah. I don't know the words. Oh, sweetie, those are the wrong words. Like, this is Patti LaBelle. Another woman who, if you were to get on stage with Patti LaBelle, you might as well just be quiet and sing backup.
Right.
Even if you're a soloist.
That's fair.
Because Patti LaBelle's going to tear the song down. So,
but you got to be able to tear the song down.
But Mariah Carey was
no, 2 years
able
ago?
to. You're right. Okay, all right. I get what you're saying. Patti LaBelle was still able to tear the song down when she did this. All right, fine. And maybe, there's just this diva-ness to them that maybe they get at some point. I do agree. It does. Mariah Carey's attitude does look very stinky. She does look like if I were to ever have a chance to meet her, if there's cameras, she might only be nice because of the cameras, but if there's not, she might look at me like, I don't know you.
And you know what? That's a difference, I think. I didn't see the Patti LaBelle thing. Yeah. But everyone makes mistakes, right? Everyone has a moment of, like, frustration and maybe fluster. We don't know the circumstances in which she got invited to do that tree lighting ceremony performance. But in general, I don't see Patti LaBelle acting like that 90% of the time.
You're right.
I don't.
There's been like and again, we're not there. There's all these stories. There could be rumors, stuff written up in tabloids, etc. Patti LaBelle just seems so cool. She seems like that auntie that you might want to be around, and that she's gonna check you,
right,
if she needs to.
And I get that. I'm cool with that. Check me. She was checking people. Okay. Also, she's grown. Mm-hmm. She could check us. Mm-hmm. Cool. But there's a difference between that and I think being like blatantly disrespectful.
Very
you
true.
must hold my umbrella this way.
Very
you must
true.
walk.
I agree with that.
And so you know what? I feel bad saying that she's overrated musically. I think, she was super talented, and I concur. She's super talented. You can't take that from her. But in terms of idolizing her, I think once we're idolizing celebrities and things like that, they have to really have the personality.
I agree. I don't think I would never be a lamb, as she calls her followers.
Oh, that's what she calls them?
Yeah,
lambs.
Lambs and lamb. When she texts or puts out messages like, hi, Lambly. Lambii, I think.
That's like Jesus' lamb?
And I don't know what, they're
Where did that
called
come
little lambs.
from?
I have no idea. I don't know where half of these following names come from. And you know what else, Julie? I've never been one, like, I have people that I love. Growing up, gospel music, Yolanda Adams was like my favorite gospel singer. And I have a few others that are on that list, but she was top for me. Mm-hmm. Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, top vocalist. Celine Dion, like, you know what I'm saying? But I've never been a person where I like Beyonce. I don't crazily love Beyonce. I'll never be in the Beehive. If Yolanda Adams had a group, I would never be in the group. I've never been that person.
You're not
be like a fanatic.
Yeah, right.
I love what you do, and I think vocally, because I love singing and I love vocal talent, and like when people make my face like turn up, I'm like, oh my gosh, this person's voice is amazing. But I would never be a fanatic. Like, they're still a person. Yeah. So I think
that's true.
Yeah,
very true.
And I think because that's not me, as long as the person behind the talent is not causing harm to people, R. Kelly, I will still appreciate what you done and your vocal, even if you might not be the greatest person, as long as you're not harming people, and I don't got to deal with you.
See, I don't have that in me. I don't. It's really a problem. Like, people get canceled in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fanatic. Like, I love Jason Mraz. I love every song. I know all the words. Let me let you know when the key change is coming. It's in 8 measures. Like, let's go. I love them. But at the same time, I wouldn't be a fanatic. That being said, the personality really, to me, it's all I think about when I'm looking at a piece of work, or if I'm listening to a song, or if I'm being inundated by a presence. And for me, that's why Alicia Keys got canceled in my head. And I'm working on forgiveness now. It's been some time. That's why Mariah Carey is canceled. When I see her, this is her season because of the Christmas album that was so powerful that she had. But I feel like this discomfort.
Yeah.
I really do. I feel a physical discomfort, and I'm like, I would rather listen to the Pentatonix Christmas album right now. So, wow, does that make me judgmental?
I don't think so, because you know what, even though they're not technically a company you're keeping because you're not knowing them on a personal level, it kind of is the company you're keeping as far as what you're listening in your house, even though their music or their voice is not technically representative of who they are as a person. You put the two together where you're like, I don't want your presence in my presence if you're not great. And that kind of, and you know why? The reason why I might not be that I can deal with Mariah Carey, et cetera, is because when we were growing up, even though there were tabloids, there wasn't social media like it is today. We didn't have the internet like we did today. So all those stories, we didn't really get to hear. We're hearing them kind of like now. Like, a lot of stuff is coming out about people. So I think that because it's like a now, like our generation now with all this news, and you get to hear more about how maybe nasty a person is, I've already fallen in love with their talent when we weren't really getting all of that tea and all that news. Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably why, for me, I still hold on to them. Yeah.
And I can agree to that, because being at Milton Hershey, we didn't really have access to the internet,
Mm-hmm.
Outside of certain domains and things like that. So I wasn't even falling in love with them. I was just kind of, you would listen to them when you could. And
right.
I was really in my own little world. So, yeah, what I did know about them was what I found out after graduating. So, yeah, I get that. I totally get that. I have some work to do, though, because I connect things. Symbols are really important. Like, if you did something bad in, like, North Square, I don't want to go to North Square for a while. Like, I do that, and it's something I need to work on. So we have 1 more minute and a half. So I just want to throw one real quick. I'm going to throw one real quick. Cats is coming out. How do you feel about this? The musical.
Cats. The trailer looks horrible. It looks horrible. The CGI or whatever, it looks so fake. And it's like, I might not watch it in the theater. I might watch it afterwards, just because I don't know if I'm if I'm going to theater and it's expensive, I got to spend, it got to be really good for me to spend my money. Mm-hmm. It just looks really bad. I don't know if the story's going to be great and the singing and acting is going to be great. The CGI, I can't get over it.
The way I feel about Cats is the way that you feel about Mariah Carey. I fell in love with it when I was little. I just want to see it. I love the musical. I love the story. I will say, now that you did mention the trailer, that it looked like it was rehearsals. So I didn't even consider it a trailer now that I think about it. I was like, oh, this is behind the scenes.
And then aren't they like really little? Like trailer, they're not like, maybe they should have just made them like cat size, like people size, the way they did in Broadway. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some creative decisions that some people take, or reasons I just don't understand sometimes.
Okay, so unpopular opinion, you're not a big fan.
Not a big fan of the look of it.
Okay, we're going to see you on December 20th. You guys, thank you for being here with us. Today's episode was so much fun. We talked about all kinds of things. Just remember that we had a really powerful, powerful moment.
And real quick, I'm so sorry we have 10 seconds, but we did have a comment. Patti LaBelle as well is the voice from Derek Smith. That's my dad. He was like, don't forget, she's also considered the voice. Okay, I feel you, Dad.
Totally with you.
Yeah.
But, you know, what I want you guys to take from this episode is really don't give up. Make sure you stay rooted in what you believe in. And whether that's a popular opinion or not, it's part of your journey. Thanks for being here with us, and we will talk to you next week.